Hey, morning, guys. Welcome to the Unrivaled Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pomeroy, and today we got a special guest, Don Vincent, and he's here today. He's got a lot of different businesses going. I've known Don, heck, it's been a couple of years now, hasn't it, Don? I think.
Pretty close in there.
And I've watched you grow from 1 to 2 to 3 different companies, it seems like, or maybe even more. So we'll just dive right in and learn how you got to that point and what made you take that leap. I don't know a whole lot about your history, but now's a chance for me to find out, and our listeners learning too, whether they want to take the leap into starting their own company or whether it's in Montrose or other places too. There's a lot of fear sometimes involved with going from W-2 employee to taking the risk.
Absolutely.
So share some of your story, Don. I met you and you were just doing Stonehouse, which is a fantastic restaurant. Yeah. And I think it's had its ups and downs too, and learning how to rebrand some of those things and create it into what it is now.
Absolutely. My journey started young. I mean, I've just always wanted to be creative and do things, and I don't really like working for other people. I don't really like being told what to do. I don't, that part of you that's just like, I can do this, I want to do this, and that comes with risk, and that comes with, being scared, and that comes with a lot of things. But I ended up buying the Stonehouse 7 years ago. I've been there since we started, so that's been 17 years at this point. I was the bar manager.
Oh, okay.
And I talked a lot about starting my own restaurant. In fact, I moved to Montrose. I was going to buy the Backwoods Inn. I was in Denver at the time. Backwoods Inn is where Ted Nelson's is now.
Okay.
And that was for sale, and the financing didn't work out. The deal fell through, and so I just moved with my ex-wife, and we started fresh in Montrose. And a couple years later, I got the opportunity to work at the Stonehouse. I took that, and we'd always talked. My ex and I had talked. We'd talked about starting up my own restaurant or buying a Stonehouse or whatnot. It never worked. Timing wasn't quite right. But really, it came down to just having the right incentives and overcoming the fear of going out and doing something big. And I couldn't tell you exactly why it was at this particular time that I said, yeah, now's the time. It's a scary thing. I did that, and it's been a learning curve for sure for me. But it's also allowed me to do some more things. A lot of things that I think of when I'm analyzing my business. I want to see where I can cut costs. I want to see where I can be more efficient. I want to see a lot of those things on the other side, as well as just making sure service is right and the atmosphere is right and the operation is going. And so I was analyzing the hood cleaning that I was paying for and decided that I could do this myself. So I started a hood company with my chef Kevin Gurney. So we partnered up and we do exhaust cleaning for the kitchens, which is mainly started just so I could do my own, because insurance companies don't let you just go and do your own. You have to be certified, and you have to have a different company, you have to have different insurance and all that. So we did that. That's been good. It's been actually about 5 years now that we've been doing that, right after COVID. In fact, we were in Florida getting certified when COVID shut everything down.
Oh, okay.
For the Stonehouse. And then we, analyzed more, and I decided that we could cut costs or help margins, and I bought the Park Avenue party rental store.
Okay. So that's huge around here too, party rentals,
Yeah, so tents, tables, chairs, linen, glasses, all those dishes, which goes well for the caterings that we do at the Stonehouse.
Right.
Then I'm able to cross-utilize both. If I need some extra plates for Thanksgiving, huge buffet, we can bring those in. I don't have to buy the extra ones. I can just use what I've got. I can send any of the caterings if they need tents, do that on the other side. So it kind of works in conjunction. So it's a way that I can increase gross revenue, but also be more tight on the things that I'm using also. Right. So that's kind of my theory of why I do what I do.
Well, that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, I've done little bits and pieces of that, but I haven't branched out fully of where my big for us, subcontracting's big, right? So, we use KCI a lot for excavation work, and I have looked at possibly starting a whole, do I buy an excavator? Well, it's just sitting most of the time, so I had looked at creating another business that's got a guy with a dump truck and doing all that stuff, but I did that with the bathroom remodeling because I was subbing it all out. Well, then the hard part is you lose control then, right? Yep. And so there's no quality control, and I didn't like that, and there's scheduling too. So when you need a hood cleaned, you don't have to wait 6 months now to get on someone else's schedule.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And there's pros and cons to everything, right? I mean, that's what business is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at bottom line. We're trying to get our expenses less than our gross revenue, right? How it works. That's the simple math to it. And how do you do that? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've never been one that I'm not willing to take a chance.
Right.
So if it doesn't work, the worst is it didn't work. I don't consider it a failure. I don't consider myself a failure. No. If something didn't work, it's an idea. I try to think it through so that I don't fail, but it might.
Have you always had that mindset? Was it a learned behavior? I struggled in the beginning of every time I switched either business model or tried a new idea, I struggled with the idea of what if it fails.
Yeah.
And I did battle with that for several years, not so much when I was working for someone, but definitely starting this company. I failed, and then I had other people telling me, customers too, like, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. And then being in a customer-based industry of keeping customers happy, then I went from like, okay, I'm not failing because everything's working. And I knew by the numbers, like, no, this is right. Like, you can't tell me that I can't charge this much or whatever else. Then it went to so many customers that we know that you can't keep everyone happy. But I was used to keeping everyone happy, especially when I was working for someone, because I was damn good at my job. And all of my customers were happy. I never had complaints. And then I go to this, and 1 out of 15 customers, you can never make them happy anyway. And I was like, oh wait, I gotta make them happy. I can't do that. And then I dealt with that quite a bit and felt like, well, maybe I am doing this wrong. Maybe I am. What if? But I took a massive leap back in January, and we borrowed some money for a new plan, and 9 months went by and nothing, like no money back, no return, and then it exploded right at 9 months. But I spent 9 months sitting in that going like, what in the world did I do?
Absolutely.
And the whole time I was just doubting myself, and finally it paid off. It's like, oh, I could be a little bit more patient, but I finally came to terms with, like, I could try something new. And then you always learn something, right? Yeah.
I think failure is the fear of failure is what holds everybody back. Quite honestly, I think that's, as humans, we have this psychological disorder, and we only view things from inside. We don't see things from other people. So if we think we might fail, or we think that people don't like us, or we think whatever, that doesn't have much to do with reality. And so I think for anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, you have to you have to have the confidence, you have to be willing to not have it work, and not have that be so detrimental to your psyche that you can't, keep on going and whatnot.
Regroup from it, right?
So I absolutely had fear of failure. I had nervousness about, is this going to work? Can I do this? Able to do this? When you've never done it, when you've never owned your own, it's real easy to say, oh, this person isn't doing that right, and I do this different, and this and that and everything else. But when it comes down to it, you take the leap, you do it, it's all on you. And there's a chance that you might not be right.
And there's nobody else to blame.
And there's nobody else to blame. So you have to be okay with that, right? I mean, so that's where it is. So when I finally got to the point where I'm like, if I fail, I fail. I've got nothing. If I end up living in a trailer down by the river, I'm okay with that. I'll regroup. So I'll go all in, and we'll see how it is. And you're right, the negativity that others will put your way is huge. I can't tell you how many people have told me I'm doing this wrong, that wrong. I can tell you that, it breaks me up every time, I have a customer that's not happy, whether I could ever make them happy or not. There's sometimes it's our fault. We didn't do what we needed to. It's a legitimate complaint. We try to take care of those customers. We try to make them happy as best we can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that was a big thing that I had to overcome by accepting that I could not make everybody happy.
You just have to know your own heart in it, and know that, like, when we get a customer complaint, you do the best of your ability, but stuff happens, right? I mean,
it's life, right?
It is.
Nobody's perfect, but we as business owners, we want everything to be perfect.
We do.
We want every single job to go right. I don't want any miscommunication. I want all of my staff, to do the right thing. But the reality is they don't always do the right thing. They make mistakes. We make mistakes. Everything goes in there, and so the results are what they are, and you have to accept them and just do your best to get over it. Move on.
Go with I'm sure you've got plenty of systems kind of set in place of every step of this is how we handle all these situations, right? We found even everything was running smooth, and then we got so busy that stuff started to slip on some of those. A couple customers didn't get a phone call before we showed up, and they got a text notification, but it's not the same thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. How do we make that where it happens every time, whether we're busy or slow? Every season changes, and then you're like, oh, okay, we'll have to tweak that one a little bit. That was another one for me of do something once, and then I stopped thinking about it, and I don't want to have to. I've had to hire people to then go back in and mess with that, like tweak it as it needs to, because else I get really impatient with it.
I think that's a great point. So for me, I've had to learn who I am as a business owner, right? So there's certain things I do well at, there's certain things I don't do well at. And so the things I don't do well at, you have to take ego out and say, all right, I'm not good at this, but somebody else is. So I'm going to put to this, I'm going to empower somebody else to do the things that they're good at that I'm not good at. You know, and
Yeah.
that's a blow to somebody's ego when you're trying to do everything, or you're trying to be the guy, or trying to, you know, take all the credit, whatnot. And it's a team game. Like, there's no way that I could be doing all the different things that I'm doing right now if I didn't have a great team behind me.
Yeah. Have you ever read a book? Did you read much?
Yeah.
Books? Have you ever read a book called Traction?
I've not read that one.
It talks about different roles in the company, right? And so not always, most entrepreneurs fall underneath being like a visionary, right? So when you go into the stat, you think of the crazy big ideas, and you're just like, hey, we can do all this, and you come up with a dozen of them. And then underneath that, you need to partner up or have really good employees that are integrators, right? So they take those ideas and they figure out how to make them happen.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on a kind of a spectrum like that?
I'm definitely a visionary.
Yeah.
I see opportunities everywhere. Every day I see an opportunity to do something better, more efficient, expand. I can see there's potential dollars in this. There's all those things. I'm good at putting the plan together to say, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is how we need to be done. I'm not a good implementer.
Yeah.
That's definitely where I fall short of actually implementing and making sure. I'm one of those guys where I say, if I tell you once, all right, this is what I want you to do. Now I'm on to the next thing. I'm assuming you're doing that. And then down the road, I finally discover, oh, you're not doing that. Where if I had a different personality, I'd tell you what needs to be done. I'd give you the tools. I'd make sure you're educated. I'd have everything else. And then I would check back real quick just to make sure that you truly do understand, you are doing what you need to do. And I definitely fall short.
Yeah, me too. I've learned how to. We had several ideas that we started even last year, and until maybe a month and a half ago, I was like, we started something like that. What happened to it?
Yeah.
And it's because we got busy, and then I didn't check back in and go, hey, now I got to sit down. The idea is still good.
Yeah.
I'm going to write down the steps. Got it to print off, and now I pass it on, and it's been successful and it's stayed consistent.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you fall out of consistency for you, whether it's food or timing or scheduling or whatever else, customers, they don't want that. You can't give them the service they need. We've tried so very hard to be consistent all the time, not only with the customer service, but how fast we can get there, fixing the mistakes, and then moving to the next step of and I think it's been super valuable having those systems now written down. Whoever we hire, if we lose this person, we hire somebody else in, this is their job description, and this is what they take, whether it's following up or whatever.
Right. I think you need to be able to adapt too, right? You know, so when you hire that new person, you're not hiring a clone of the last person, right? The new person has weaknesses and strengths, and so you go down the list like, this is everything that has to be done, which is great, but you have to learn who that new person is to know where you need to help them to follow to do their job. And sometimes for me, I have to change the job because now I have two new people, and so this person did this and this person did this, but now I've got to almost break it all up and split it up again because their strengths are over here and the other person's strengths are over here.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah, learning how to lead those people into that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. What as you've gone through these 7 years now into this business and stuff, what's a wall that you hit that was, if you can remember it, that was like a major gear shift that you had to?
So COVID was the biggest wall that I hit.
Yeah, for a restaurant.
I got, I had been in there for about a year and a half of owning it myself, and then COVID hit, and so I had to adapt on everything. I had to rethink everything because I was just getting comfortable in a position with the trends and knowing expectations. And so from that point, staffing has just been, I'm not gonna say a nightmare because we have a lot of the same staff on there, but we've had quite a bit of turnover, and there was a period of time where I didn't have people that wanted to work, and I had to adjust hours, I had to adjust days, right at the same time that the business was the best that it had ever been, and I couldn't do it because I didn't have the staff to do it. Pricing has been just insane over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Post COVID, that's a huge wall. I mean, it really is. I mean, you go up there and I don't know what to do because these are my costs. I've got to increase it so that I can at least pay for things. I'm in business to make money.
Right.
So there should be some profit margin in there. If not, why am I doing this? I might as well just be sitting on the couch doing nothing and, collect a government check if that's the case. And so trying to figure that out, and that's hard. That's not easy, especially in today's restaurant world. The entire industry is different than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see that.
No.
They just look at the price and go, "That's ridiculous" or whatever, but they don't realize the overhead has changed drastically.
Yeah.
Not just on a like buying products level. I mean that has increased 30-40%. I would
gas
think.
and electric, it's doubled. I go through a lot of gas. I go through a lot of electric there. And those grills are on all the time. Insurance doubles. Everything doubles. If I didn't have the real estate set at a mortgage price, I'd be in real trouble.
Yeah.
Because everybody else's, their rents go up. Because every rent's going up. But at least me buying the real estate with the business has really offset some of that. So I'm not making the money I should. But I'm surviving.
Yeah.
Everything is an adjustment. I think if anybody says this is what I do and this is all that I do, this is what I only do, they're in for a rude awakening because every day is a different day. Circumstances are different. The society is different. Expectations, customers' expectations are either different or the industry has changed and their expectations are the same.
Yeah.
So every day is a matter of how do you adapt? How do you overcome the latest, thing?
Have you battled with the comparison thing, like comparing yourself to other restaurants or on that same note of customers comparing you to other restaurants? Has that been a hard thing to get past too? I mean, your numbers, obviously, and you go on, but I know I looked at my numbers and I went, there's no way I can charge this much. That's nuts. But then the numbers are undeniable, right? Especially when you're trying to figure out how to lower costs, but still be profitable. I mean, you never want to lower your prices anyway. It's just how do I actually make money at this? Because I put the time in, and it is a lot of stress.
It is a lot of stress. Yeah. Absolutely. I struggle every day with what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? Negative reviews bother me. Customers' expectations that not being met bother me. Having to worry about am I going to hit payroll this week bothers me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things depending on the season that bother me. I think I get over that by having the confidence that I'm doing everything I know how to do.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people to get their thoughts on different things. Now, I don't listen to everybody, but it's, as far as I'm not taking what it is because there's some people that are negative, some people are positive, some people there, but I take it all in and I analyze it to come up with that spurs a new idea for me, or this is what I'm going to try differently. So I think negativity is horrible, and the more negativity you have around you is debilitating.
Oh, it'll tear you down. So bad.
And so, do I compare myself to other restaurants? Yes and no. I mean, everybody does their own thing. Does it give me a little bit of enjoyment when somebody says, "Oh, I came in from so and so's place and that was a horrible experience"? Yeah, but then I also know that somebody's going over to that restaurant and saying, "Oh man, this restaurant over here just had a horrible experience." I mean, it just happens. We go through 200-300 people a day.
Yeah.
Not going to make everybody happy.
Not with those percentages. It's just not possible.
Can't do it. I mean, that's a lot of people every day.
I know. We just had a big job over at a restaurant here in Jimmers, and they were shut down for just a few days. We tried to get them online as soon as we could, and that final day we were just getting everything going. Somebody pulled up and we're like, they're not open, and left a bad review. And I was like, who has that kind of time?
Right.
And you just know that kind of mindset of a person, they're just looking for a reason to complain.
Absolutely.
Right? And they want everyone to hear about it. And
because they're so focused on inside, they can't see a big picture of anybody else doing anything else.
Yeah, it's very selfish mentality of my thought was, and I never struggled with this before, but even more now, knowing more business owners, knowing CJ over there and stuff. He was down for 4 days, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of profit. I'm so sorry. I'm doing everything I can, working overtime and getting them back online, because I just imagine if we were shut down for 4 days, you'd be 3-4 months trying to make that back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's so hard. Restaurant is specifically, profit margins are so incredibly small. People think they look at $50 steak and say, oh man, they're killing it. But when you look at the whole menu and the whole thing,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the year, if I'm getting 2%, 1%, 2% profit at the end of the year, that's where most restaurants are.
Wow.
So, I mean, it used to be that if you ran a really, did a really good job, you'd be 5%.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, most restaurants are going -1 to 1%.
Wow.
That's where restaurants are, even though costs are up. And everybody, thinks that restaurants are just killing it. That's it. You got to do a lot of sales to make any money off of a % or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And you train your guys for that. You're talking sales inside the restaurant, like good
Well,
service?
yeah. I mean, you start with good service. Upselling. I mean, you have to have the mindset that people want to spend money when they go out to a night out. So you're not pushing anything, but you want to give them opportunities. You want to let them know what you have to offer. We have this dessert. Would you like a specific cocktail? We have an appetizer on special. I mean, there are things that you do
And I love that.
to try to do that.
When I go out and people don't suggest that, it bugs me because I'm going out for that experience.
Yeah.
And I think most people are, especially if they're going to a restaurant like yours.
Yeah.
I love the fact that when I go there, servers are like, hey, well, if you're going to get that, this goes really good.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, I'll go with their suggestion because I don't know. I just want to try something new, right?
Yeah. Every business has its own, tweaks, and that's part of the reason why I've gotten into the other businesses as well, because the profit margins are better.
Yeah.
I don't do the same sales, I don't do the same volume as I do at Stonehouse, but it gives me an opportunity to have a little better margins.
Would you buy a restaurant again, knowing what you know now, going back 7
Today,
years?
I would probably not buy a restaurant today.
Yeah.
I've been in the restaurant industry for so long that I love it and do it, but the challenges, labor costs are the biggest challenges, food costs are the second biggest challenges, customer expectations. To combine all those things is the third biggest challenge. I probably wouldn't. I could make a lot more money outside the restaurant doing other things.
Yeah.
With the same amount of time. Now that I have the confidence that I could do whatever I wanted to do, I probably wouldn't go into the restaurant. Now that doesn't mean that now that I'm in it, I'm not looking to necessarily get out of it.
Right.
Restaurants are not where I would put time and effort.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's fast paced, right? It's fun.
You have to enjoy it, it's true. And I'll be honest, my enjoyment of the restaurant has diminished over the last 7 years. I don't have the same enjoyment level that I did before I was the owner.
Yeah.
Now I like the challenges, but when you're challenged every day on an extreme level, every once in a while you're like, all right, I just need a break. I need to peace out here. Just give me some time. I'm not going to be there for a week or whatever it takes, and then we'll go forward.
I found that too. I've always, I've been doing plumbing and heating for 15 years, and every day when I finally worked for a good company, which was very short periods of time, I enjoyed going to work. It's very gratifying, right? Instant gratification, especially in the service world of fix. You get to the end of the day, your glass is still full, it's overflowing, and you barely, really, once you get good at it, you've barely distinguished any energy, right? And I enjoyed that. And then switching these gears to 100-hour plus weeks, and I did the last year, my ex had left and gone with the kids, and so I was sitting here with nothing and nothing to do other than paperwork and coming up with ideas and processes, and I was like, okay, so I did 100 hours a week plus for 11 months,
That's a lot, yeah.
and worth it, I think so, but
right, that's the end result. Who knows when is the end result?
But you get to the end of it, and even now we've gotten so busy and back out in the field again. And I notice when I'm out in the field, I'm very impatient, and I'm still good at what I do, obviously, but my mind is so distracted. It's like, okay, it's kind of taking some of the joy out of it because I'm fixing someone's boiler and thinking about what I should be doing here, and I'm like, okay, I see what's happened now.
Absolutely.
So,
It's a big change from working the W-2 job or 1099 job to being the boss. When you have a bunch of people that are working for you. I mean, I have over 50 individuals, they don't all work full-time hours, but, well over 50 people that have a job at the Stonehouse. That's big. I've got more employees over at the Western Slope Party Rentals. That's a lot of responsibility to take care of that. And there's always something I should be doing. So when I'm filling in to bartend, I don't enjoy bartending as much as I did when I was a bartender.
Yeah.
And because I always have something else on my mind where I could be doing this, I should be doing
Instead
this.
of creating conversation.
Instead of really, doing the things that made me successful at bartending. It's just different. I mean, we're just human, right?
Yeah.
You can only do so many hours. You can only have so much. I think that's one thing with entrepreneurship that people don't realize is they think that they're going in so that they can hire somebody else to do what needs to be done. And they don't realize that everything has to be done by you. So the hours, if you're not putting the hours in, at least to start off with, I mean, at least to establish, it's not going to work.
Yeah, they say 0 to 5 years, really, you're kind of stuck in that grind. I think
Absolutely.
Once you figure out, for us especially, figure out the first one before we go start the next one, is because it was probably, even though you had new things to learn in the hood cleaning business, it was probably easier for some of the processes at first, going like, this is how we're going to make money at it. Right?
Absolutely. Well, in fairness, that was something that we haven't tried to blow up. All right. So it's basically two of us. We have a couple other guys that help us out with there, but it's two of us, and so it's our time, it's our dollars. So the pressure's off a little bit to say, hey, we're going to take over the whole western slope of hood cleanings. I don't have the resources to do that. I can't do it, and I don't think mentally I would be prepared to. So we built it up. We have, I don't know, like 35 or 40 restaurants that we clean, which in times takes a lot of effort and time, but it's not the same for me.
Because it's not your main source of income.
Because it's not the main source of income. When somebody starts brand new, I don't care what it is, if that's your only source of income, you better be putting in a ton of hours, and you better be doing everything you can to make that successful, and don't complain about how many hours you work.
Yeah.
If you even mark down your hour to income ratio, you're not going to be successful. I just don't do it. It's like
$2.43 an hour. Yeah.
Don't even bother. You do not need to be an entrepreneur if you are even closely concerned to how many dollars an hour you make.
Yeah, you really have to think of long
Just
term.
don't do it.
Where am I going?
These are the assets I'm building. This is where I want to be in 10 years. This is the income I want to have in 10 years. Like all those things, and this is the dollars I have to make to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how you look at it. You do not look at how many hours you put into a business.
How long did you go before you got your first paycheck done? Was it a while? I mean, obviously you took care of your own expenses, but
right. So yeah, it was a while. I wanted to make sure that the restaurant had the dollars that it needed, just right, because swings are big. I can go through 20 grand in a day.
Yep.
Just done. I mean, my food expenses alone. I easily can go each week. $50,000 in the bank needs to be there, and that's not saying that I make a lot of money. That's what it costs.
It has to be,
to have that in there. So it took a little while to build that up so that I had the cushion, and I'm glad I did, because a year and a half later I hit COVID, and boom, I dropped a huge amount in bank account in COVID right off. I went from sitting okay, like, this is doing all right, to being like, I can't make payroll.
Yeah.
I've got to have government step in and help out a little bit or something. I need help. There's no way. So yeah, it was a while. I took care of my expenses. I didn't go negative, but actually putting dollars in my bank account, it was a while.
Yeah, it was two years, and finally, and then even then, 2 years we were sitting good, same thing, and then we just hit this lull of marketing and changed some of our branding and stuff like that, which really, like, people couldn't see us. We lost visibility, and that was detrimental to where it was, the self-sacrifice you have to make, right? I had personal credit cards that I don't use and just set aside, and I had to use all those and max everything out just to keep going, and then finally on the other side of that, but it was a couple years. But there was moments, maybe even I was telling you, like that little hammock right there, that's like, couldn't afford a place to live. And I could make the shop rent, and that was it. So I'd just crash here in the evening and rice and beans for a couple of months. I mean, it was like, you got to do it,
I get it. But that's the mindset, though, that you have to have, right? You have to have it, like, I'm willing to do this. Like, I believe in this. I believe in myself. I'm going to take this as far as I can. And I'm willing to not have cable TV or internet at home. I'm okay with driving an old beat up truck. I don't have to have a brand new truck. I'm okay with living in the shop if I have to. Like, you have to be willing to do all those negative, or in your mind, negative things to succeed, right? And that's okay, because you still have that vision. You're trying everything you can. If you're not willing to do that, you're not going to succeed. I mean, I've lost money at Zone House. I mean, it's not a yearly profitable thing where everybody thinks, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. You're killing it. Well,
define killing it.
I mean, define success. I mean, people say, hey, you're super successful. Where's that definition? I don't know what that definition. Do I have net worth? Yeah. I mean, I've paid off some buildings. I have rental properties. I've got different things where I've been able to leverage, and I've taken risks, and so far the risks have done okay for me. But I could be bankrupt tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah, it's constantly sitting there.
It's always there.
I do have a level of the mindset, sounds like you're similar, of I know that's there and I could, very well, the whole thing could just be down. And I've had those conversations with the guys like, okay, I've got your last paycheck sitting in this account and here you go, I'm sorry, I did the best I could, and we've had those conversations, and
Absolutely.
and I'm in the place of like just refusing to let that happen, right? Which is like, no, I'm still going to be successful at this, but you also kind of prepare for it, so you're always thinking like, what does happen, and you can't control some of those things.
Some things you can. But I also have the mindset that whatever happens, I'll figure it out. There's a solution. I just have to come up with that solution. So if the solution is better marketing, all right, let's work on better marketing. If the solution is changing something, I mean, this Stonehouse could turn into a pizza place tomorrow if that's what needed to happen.
Right.
If the price of beef skyrockets so far that people are not buying it, and I have nobody coming in the doors. The next craze is tapas. Oh, man, I'll be a tapas bar.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Is I'm going to do whatever I've got to do to survive.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the business model works for us, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And for sure, I'll do what it takes to make it succeed.
Great way of thinking. Starting this business and branching off into this, how did it affect your family?
It's a challenge for sure. I had gotten divorced before, or separated anyway. The divorce hadn't been final, but before I started going into the Stonehouse. I was in a transitional period in my life anyway, of looking, like anytime you go through a divorce or major separation, you reevaluate everything and whatnot. My kids were not super young, but not necessarily old by any means. I mean, my youngest was 7, and like 7 and 12, who's about the ages. I give a lot of credit to my ex. I mean, she helped me out a bunch with taking the kids more during those times, letting me have my family time when I was able to get away from the restaurant. And that was a really huge asset that I had.
Yeah.
And I need to give her a lot of credit for that, because that's not necessarily easy thing to do when you're splitting and you have you have negative feelings and animosity and all that kind of stuff. The kids hung out with me a lot. When they were little, in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I got comments of, oh, you can't turn this into a family, like a Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. I'm like, relax, it's my kids. They're going to be here. They can help out. I'd have them help me out on, busing for big Thanksgiving days or whatever it is. And so they were a part of that. But it was difficult. And I don't think there's any lingering damage. But
no resentment towards you for the hours you put in, and
I don't feel like there is. I think the kids, certainly at this point, I've got one in grad school and another senior in high school. I think they enjoy it now, and I think it's been able to have a much better balance. And for sure, my current relationship, my fiance is super supportive, and she's also a hard worker. She's the realtor, so she's working all the time, taking calls there. So she understands the fact that just sitting here, I've missed about, I don't know, counting 10 notifications, whatever, in just this period of time. And so she's good with, not getting upset with me when I have to work. Because that's the thing, is you work all the time. Whether I'm at the restaurant or if I'm not at the restaurant, whether I'm at the party rental place or whether I'm doing hoods, I'm working all the time.
Yeah.
My day off, my vacations, I'm still answering emails, I'm still dealing with texts, I'm still dealing with everything. So the family has really supported me. I don't think there's any long-term damage.
Yeah, you've just become intentional with the time you spend with them, right? It's been awesome to have Renzi in here, because now she's been with me full-time for just a few months, and she's been able to see. Before there was a disconnect of, she didn't actually see why I was gone so much. Yeah. And now she gets to see it, and she's like, oh, I understand, and she just jumps in and helps wherever. Yeah. And she's really good at grounding me in helping me, because it is hard to shut off. Mm-hmm. And being present is powerful for your family, right? And I have a hard time being present when I've got too much going on. Yeah. Normally I recognize when I'm not being present now, and now I was like, okay, normally means I need to delegate something. Right. And, but yeah, I've had the same customers. Most of them, I would say 98% of them call in, and then we show up at the job, and they're like, hey, it was a young voice on the phone, because she answers the calls, and they're happy. And then I had another gal the other day go, it's really unprofessional to hire your kids and have them working in the office in a business. I was like, no.
Thanks for your input. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I have my kids working with me. I mean, they went through high school. they need jobs. You know, there's no nepotism. The standards for them is as high as,
or higher.
Yeah. You know, than others. But why would I not? Why would I not have my kids?
Yeah.
Why would you not have your kids? You know, and we have to. Like I love seeing you at the VSA. You know, the other day, the orchestra. You know, with your daughter. You know, and I'm out there doing a date with my daughter. It's like that's what you have to do. You know, you take that individual time when you have available, and you make sure that they're good and they're safe. But you bring them into work. It's teaching them, right? And that's part of what we're doing. We're teaching the next generation how to work hard and what the expectations are. But
and if they want to be a part of it, they can do it when they graduate, and they're going to get. I mean, the reality is they'll get paid better than they would most any other jobs, right? You know, because and then they actually take some ownership. And I mean, I would love my girls to not necessarily go out in the field and be plumbers, but
unless they wanted to.
Yeah, if they wanted to, they could go for it, right? But I mean, they could be whatever they want, whether it's this business or something else. And like, might as well learn how to watch it grow and see what their new ideas can come in. Because my thought process is very different than a lot of the traditional plumbers that are mom and pop shop type things, or older generation. They do things a certain way. And going back to that comparison thought, I compared what we did to other companies, and I would say there's 168 plumbing companies between here and Junction.
Holy cow.
And there's only 4 of them that I compete with.
Yeah.
And that do things the same way that I do, or I do the same things the same way that they do, right?
Right.
And so based off of those numbers, most of the plumbing companies I talk to, and especially if they're older, I get reprimanded, you know, and that was a tough thing because I don't normally get reprimanded by the older generation, you know. And I'm like, well, maybe, keep double checking myself, but I know where my heart is, so I just go from there.
And the numbers tell you if you're doing it right or wrong. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that love the Stonehouse, but there's a certain amount of people that hate the Stonehouse. You know, and so there's always going to be that certain level of hate, and people come in and say, "Oh man, your standards have dropped." I'm like, well, no, I'm on the same product. I'm doing everything. Sometimes there's a mistake or something might happen, which would give you a bad experience, and I apologize for that, but we haven't lowered our standards. In fact, we've raised our standards. But then the only way you can get there and say, all right, am I doing it right? Like, am I really doing it right, or are things going bad, is by looking at the numbers. I mean, are there fewer people coming through? Are they not spending the money?
Right.
What has changed? And so that's, for me, being analytical, I go back to that and say, all right, well, this is solid. Like, it's the same. It's just you have this percentage of people that are not happy, and I hate it. But that's the way it is.
The first time we raised our prices, we started off really our company based off of another company. The company I used to work for, I was like, well, if that's what they were charging, that's what I could charge too, and it's just fine.
Yeah.
And Ashley, she called me out one day because I was really grumpy and stressed and just like, I don't know, we're not making it. This was a couple of years ago. And I was like, she's like, I think you need to raise your prices. You won't be so grumpy. And then there's a lot of that stuff that happens to where it's like most of the time, if you're stressed, it's usually, almost all the time, it's money related or it's people related, right?
But sure.
People gets easier when there's more money too.
People say money can't buy happiness, but it sure does help. I don't know where that line is, but
I'd sure love to find it to where that point is. Like, I'm not happy anymore. I've got 12 million. You know?
Exactly. So, is it 2 million? Is that goal, or is it 10, or is it 20, or I mean, what is?
I hear from influencers that it's 100 million.
Oh, really?
After 100 million, you're supposed to. I mean, you can get anything you want at that point, so you can decide whether or not you're happy based off of money.
Gotcha.
Or unhappy based off of money. So that's kind of the goal.
Okay. I'm a ways off.
Yeah.
I'm a ways off from 100 million. So.
But I'd sure love to have to battle with that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. For scientific purposes, let's go ahead and make that happen, so I can tell you definitively if that's true or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all about it.
There's another guy. Have you ever heard of David Goggins?
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know whether the quote originally came from him, but I think he was talking to Jocko Willink, and he said you never meet a hater that's doing better than you.
Right.
And I've taken that. I thought that was really good based off of complaints and
Yeah.
and people. I've even had employees come in here and tell me I'm doing stuff wrong
Yeah.
and they've quit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you're doing that and I'm doing this, and that's the reality of it. We're too busy to be complaining about other businesses, right?
Right.
Whether I was to
Concentrate on yourself.
whether I was to go eat somewhere, and if I get bad service, say go to Applebee's or something, and I get bad service, I let the waitress know, right? Like, hey, could have been a little bit better, like, and I just saw you once and never saw you again, and it bothers me. But and so I let them know politely. I don't go to their manager,
Right.
and or leave a review online. I don't have enough time for that. It's just quick conversation and move on with life. I'm not thinking about everyone else's company, but I want it to do well. I want your business to grow because it's awesome to see it. You're providing for your family, but then also you're providing for potentially 50 other people's families too, and that's a whole nother thing to cross as well. I think I became a different person the first payroll hit, and I had people that owed me money, and I showed up at their house.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, I'm here. Like, oh, I was going to get that over to you. I was like, well, how about we just settle it now?
We'll settle now, because I got people to pay.
Yeah. And I never was that person. I was pretty passive in that regard, and I was not I avoided potential conflict a lot, and I don't anymore.
Right? You got to learn. That's something that you'll get run over if you're not willing to. That doesn't mean you go out and search for conflict, but you have to be able to deal with conflict when it comes.
Yeah.
If not, it's not going to work. Or you have to have somebody that will take care of the conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think I still deal with most of it now, and I deal with it well to where, which I didn't actually think I was capable of when I get to the end of a conflict kind of situation. Normally, all parties are happy.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy because I haven't had to do a full refund, and it just meant something got missed in form of communication.
Right.
And I didn't think I was capable of that, but I became that. It was just had to be a learned behavior, I guess, that I avoided most of my life.
Right. Yeah. And most times things can be resolved by communication.
Yeah.
Not going in with an expectation, just going in and listening. What is the complaint? What did we not? And be okay with taking some blame. If you messed up, you messed up.
Yeah.
That steak is absolutely overcooked. That toilet is absolutely crooked. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a problem. So what can I do to fix it? Let's figure that out together. And sometimes people don't work with you though. I mean, sometimes they won't give you any information to do that. They won't have that conversation of, this is really the problem. Say, well, what if we do this? Whatever.
Yeah, they're like high up emotionally, and they're just got a wall. They won't help you.
They can't help you solve that, and that's a challenge.
Yeah,
there
was a customer came in just last week. It's a 45-minute conversation of every emotion possible, from tears to anger, rage, calm down to trying to learn understanding. And we had to go through this whole process, and she was in her late 70s, I got to the end of it, and she was like, well, thanks so much, and I really appreciate you just taking the time. And I was like, oh God, if I just known when you walked through the office door that you just wanted to be heard, and that's all it was. And it just didn't come across like that, because she came in and she kind of shouted at Renzi a little bit, and then turned to me, and it was weird. It was just a weird situation, but we came through it, and I still look at those moments and go, that's pretty cool, and I've had to become that.
Right.
And I guess I had the experiences before in life, just avoided them.
Yeah. Do you think in business that you have to want to please the customer, or do you feel like you have to have the drive for that, or can you have the drive for just doing whatever it takes to make the dollars? Or I mean, what do you feel about that? Where's your line on that?
I love making people happy, and I think being in this form of customer service, not so much retail, but this side of it, there is a massive desire to I know now what I offer is better than most.
Right.
And I offer that consistently quicker, right? And once I learned that was actually a service that I wanted to hire guys that would show up at someone's house and get to know them. Like for me, I was always the plumber that I wasn't in a hurry. I could do things quickly, but I wasn't in a hurry. So customer makes me some coffee, and a lot of people have cookies or something like that, and I just want to get to know their life.
Yeah.
You know, whether to find out about their journey, no matter what area of life they've been in, and I love that aspect of my customer service. And so that's part of it, but that also takes time. And during that time, there's a loss of efficiency that you would go over into. Like for us, our efficiency is like 55%. Throughout the day. So I can't bill out 8 to 10 hours worth of work. It's maybe 4 or 5.
Sure.
And so to have the customer service there and keeping the customers that happy, there's a price that's attached to that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. That was the part that I had to do both. Did I answer that? I think that answered the question. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The customer service was there first. There was a desire for the happiness. But then to actually create that consistently across the board and be profitable, I realized that was a service that most people weren't offering.
Right.
I get a lot of callbacks from other clients of other companies that just go, your price was higher, but I didn't like the guy. And that just comes from them not sitting down, or there's pressure from above that says, this is what you have to do. Like my guys know what they have to make in a day. It's like if you're not striving towards this goal, you can't have a job because I can't afford to keep you. It's not that I don't like you.
Right.
And so we hire guys with strong character that just like to get to know people. And then with that, customers like it. They may not always like the price, but they always like the service.
Yeah.
And I just realized there had to be a price attached to that. Because
That's
every service that you add, like a gas station, right? Every service that you add, you have to charge for.
Yeah.
And I realized that was one, not just my personality. It's something that comes with a cost.
Yeah, I think that not everybody realizes that. I think it's in my industry, the restaurants specifically. I don't think that people understand the price of service. So as costs have been going up, labor costs have been going up. Restaurants as a whole are cutting back on service. They're cutting back on quality and service, but the prices remain high. So people will compare my pricing to somebody else that does not give the same level of service, does not have the same payroll that I do, that's not doing things from scratch, that's not, because that all has a cost. And so if you want these results, which is better service, higher quality, I have to pay for that. It's a cost to me. So somebody else is making higher dollars off of not giving that service, and so the customer has to choose at some point: do I want to pay more for that service, for that level? And some do, and some don't, and that's okay. But you have to be comfortable with saying this is what I'm doing.
For me to find a guy, and for you to find a good server, for me to find a guy that's personable, friendly, he's growing in his life, he's not just stuck in a rut. I have to pay 30 to 40% more than every other company in town.
Yep.
And so I can find 30% less plumber who's grumpy, just goes to work every day, he's not really happy with his life, so his home life's not great, he's just there to pull a paycheck. But you find someone that's cheerful, that's a great server, even in your industry, that just loves your customers and treats them like that, not only for their own tips, it's not just that, but they enjoy creating that experience. They know their worth, and they won't just settle for whatever the going rate is, right? And so I've just to find those guys that have just a well-rounded individual. I can't find that in my industry for what everyone else is paying.
Yeah.
I've tried and I've learned that if I could find a guy for $30 an hour and bring him in, and he's really skilled at what he does, but then he has no people skills. He has no strong character of, I just got to get this done. The customer's always wrong, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe they are most of the time, but you now have to have the power to explain that to them.
Yeah.
And I've had to find guys, and then I found the good ones, but you have to pay them more because they're either getting paid from somewhere else, or they have the same mindset of, I don't want to work for anyone anymore, I'll go start my own thing. So you find a guy that wants to go start his own thing just because he's not satisfied. You bring him in, treat him amazing, pay him well, and then you get the full board of, trying to recreate yourself. There's nobody in business is going to take on full ownership if
Right.
they're working underneath you because they just don't have it.
True story.
But you can create some of that with incentives, and if they have the right mindset, they just come in and go, like all of my guys now, they're like, hey, yeah, we sold this job, and customers super happy, and then your 5-star reviews go up. I got a kid now, he's 23, and he is selling everything. Has no skills other than he was green when I got him, taught him how to read a tape measure green, and he's killed it.
Yeah.
With I would say the most Google reviews over the last 3 months is from him.
That's
Highest
great.
in sales. Every single one of his customers are happy, and he just calls and says, hey, I don't know how to do this, can you give me someone that does? And I was like,
Right.
yeah, absolutely, we send someone with you.
Right.
But he has that personality of I'm a part of this thing, I'm going to help build it, and really took some ownership on it. It's been awesome. And
That's great.
I have looked for more people based off of his personality because of that. And I like that. Short of finding a skilled person, you can find someone that's got your menu memorized, but they've got no people skills, and they just don't want to do more. And I've gone through so many guys that are just like, okay, yeah, it's 3:30. I don't want to take on another job. I'm coming home. I'm like, well, yeah, you're right there. Like,
Yeah, you're 10 minutes away, and it's going to take you 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, just do it really quick, finish up the rest. No, I'm not going to do that. Like, okay, well, you're not going to fit in then.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that you work tirelessly till midnight every night.
No.
There's because that's on the other side, but there's a reasonable amount to say, like, yeah, this is good for the team. It's good for me. Let's just get it done.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to find. But
No.
when you do find it, you need to be very appreciative of it.
Yeah, appreciative, and then that comes in the form of most of the time money, right?
Yeah, right.
People like to work in an environment that's not anxiety ridden, and it's got a great culture, which is what we've managed to create. But they also want to get paid good for it, and they should, and that has to come from the customer, because that's the experience they're getting. I don't want to put that out of my pocket, and I had a hard time with that. Even too, like, okay, maybe we can just offset some of our profit margin. I'm like, what are you doing, Mike? Don't be an idiot. Like
Right. Yeah, and if the company fails, then they're going to fail as well. So if you're paying more than you can and coming out of yours, then that's a problem. I mean, minimum wage goes up every year in Colorado, which means that every wage goes up every year in Colorado.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the standard. That's just the low point. So if you're paying more, everything goes up, and those costs have to be, you're either absorbing them or you're passing them on, and that's the reality of business. And as long as customers can understand that and they continue, they understand that by buying your product. If they don't understand that, then our businesses will fail. But if we can give them what they're looking for, they will continue to buy the product, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, that was another thing I had to learn, and maybe it's easier in restaurants, I'm not sure, but I had to learn that I'm offering a product. I didn't actually look at it like that.
Yeah.
I kind of thought I was offering a service, but it's not really. I'm offering a product, which is the whole company as a whole, which is somebody answers the phone all the time, and consistently, and they're super friendly. And then from that stage, it goes to you get a well-trained person that shows up that's super friendly, really respectful of your home, right? Because I've had guys that just traipse mud through the house, right? Well, how much is that worth to you?
Yep.
And each one of those things is a product and a service that's tied to it. And like, okay, you start building those up.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, you're gonna go to a gas station with clean bathrooms like a Maverick, or you're gonna go try a quick stop or whatever, with the bathroom with the key at the front counter behind the back, which one are you gonna stop at? Yeah.
And some people would prefer that just because they don't want to spend the money, and that's cool. That's their prerogative. That's why there are different establishments to do
for different choices.
But if you're looking for this is the cost.
Yeah. We thought we were driving through. We were going to Albuquerque last New Year's. Me and my girls were, and the kids driving. They're like, "I gotta go to the bathroom, Dad." I'm like, okay, let's go. This one was shut down, and not a single. Well, Maverick is what we've got around here, right? Town Pump used to be popular. It's in Montana, and so you'd always stop at the town pump because they got clean bathrooms and bathrooms that are always working, and that's just a big service that they offer, right? And yeah, there's not a single one from here to New Mexico of a bathroom that works, or it's not around the back or something, or it's just shut down.
Yeah.
And the kids just laughed about it, and they've joked about it over this last year since.
Yeah. So true.
Got to be consistent.
Yeah. Consistency is everything for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome, Don. Yeah. All right, man. I think we've come to the end of this one question I got for you. So if what piece of advice would you have for someone that wants to go off and they're teetering on the edge of starting their own company, whether it be restaurant or maybe something along those lines? What's a good point that you'd make either for their mindset or for their decision making and what they're going to branch off into?
I would say look at the numbers without emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people do things just because they feel like it's a good idea. We're going to start up this company because my 5 friends said that there's a demand. Like, make sure that what you're doing is actually able to do it, and be like Nike and just do it. I mean, just that's it. But make the decision without emotion. Understand that fear can be a motivator, or it can be a deterrent. I mean, either way, but use fear as a motivator. And if you believe in it and you're willing to sleep in your shop, if you're willing to lose everything that you have in order to get what you want, if it's that important, then do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'd say. And if you don't have those things that you're willing to give up, then you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to, whatever you've gotten to this far, asset wise or comfort wise or whatever, you have to be willing to give it up.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to, you're just rolling the dice. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you don't. But if you're willing to give up everything and work what you're doing, and it's a good idea, then it will work. You know, you can will it into existence.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good advice. I think going to what you said about don't make an emotional response to it with no emotion. A lot of people I've met, they do things well, and so they get irritated with, like, I'm going to go off and I'm going to do this better than them because I'm good at what I do. That is a poor reason to go off and start your own thing, because then you end up not being able to hire anyone because it has to be perfect. I've had to learn with, I do it well because it's time served, right? And hiring guys, it's not always going to be perfect. It just may be good.
Yep.
But if you go into it like, well, I'm going to do it better than that company, that's an emotional response.
It is. Yeah. Don't go into something with emotion.
Yeah.
It'll kill you for sure.
Yeah.
But if it's a good, well thought out, maybe emotion drives you to do the analysis, which is fine. But do the analysis of the company, of the demands, of what you can really do, and go. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, my typewriter that is ancient is not functioning right now, and we need a typewriter repair store around here, and I know how to do this, and I'm going to do this because this is what I want."
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now that a typewriter repair service in Montrose is going to fail.
Yeah.
There is not a demand. I don't care if you love your typewriter.
Yeah.
It's you and 10 other people that still have one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's not a good reason to go in just because you love fixing typewriters.
Yeah. Decide what you want to do with it and what's going to make money, because that's the whole point. Right?
That's it. Yeah. And maybe you're wealthy enough that you can just do whatever you want to, but that's not a business. That's a hobby.
And have lower expectations of what it's actually going to make.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more expenses that you don't know yet. You
Right.
can do the research and you can write down the numbers, but
Yeah.
then something else comes up and you're like, oh crap, forgot about that one, and then payroll taxes comes in and you're like, that's a lot of money, you know?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Just double it and add 100,000.
yeah. And then go, okay, because I've had that a couple of moments, like, it should be like 5-6 million in a couple of years, and I do this idea right here, and this, like, I went through the numbers, and being visionary, right?
Yeah.
It's like, absolutely, 100 grand investment.
Yeah.
probably 3.6 million in the
That's
first
it.
year.
It'll get there.
Yeah,
No problem.
No problem.
It's obvious. Just do this percentage, just increase by this percentage and we're good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Boom. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's where the integrator comes in and goes, huh? Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how yet, but I know it's going to happen.
Right. Your math is correct. Your logic on getting there is faulty.
Yeah.
So true. And you have to have those people. And you have to be willing to take that and be like, all right, valid point.
Yeah.
Valid point. Let's redo it.
Yeah.
Redo expectations.
Man, I get a new idea, and I think, oh yeah, here's this thing gonna go. One night I created this coffee company, right, and I was on Facebook Marketplace, and this is just how my brain works across the board. This is just one example. And I woke up at I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw a coffee roaster for $50,000 in Crested View, and I was like, huh, I could probably pick that up. And then I fell asleep, woke up 1:30 in the morning, like 4 hours later. Just nutso idea. Went through, created the LLC, the website, and bought the domain names and everything, and started somebody on Fiverr creating the logo, and all the way through. Ordered the cups. The logo came back in 30 minutes. I was like, yeah, that'll look good. Ordered the cups, which we got all up there. Came up with a name, and then found a coffee roasting company that could do it third party and get it all shipped out, and then had some other company create the website that you Shopify or whatever you could do off of it. And I realized in that moment I didn't ever it's on the back burner right now. It wasn't important. I was distracting myself from the hard stuff I was supposed to be doing in this company. But went through all that, and I was like, oh, it's going to do all of this. I'd probably make $1,500 a month, and then it didn't do nothing. And I was like, yeah, all right, well, we'll just wait for a little bit.
I do. I go through the other night. I told Christine and said, hey, I just wonder. I'm just gonna go down this rabbit hole. I wonder. There's gold in all these computers. It's not much, but it's gold. Can I extract that? And can I, make money? Gold is worth money, right? And so look it up. Doing research. Gold in computers. All right. Well, maybe half a gram. All right. Well, half a gram is $70, $60, and all the chemicals and everything else that it takes to get that taken care of is far better there. And you have all these fumes and deadly things that you have to deal with. I'm like, well, maybe this isn't the best idea. I mean, you still go through it. You still let's go through the process because maybe it works. Maybe it will work. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway,
that's a cool idea. All right, guys, thanks for checking us out here at the Unrivaled Potential Podcast. Go on Spotify, Apple. We're all on the major circuits, YouTube. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.